Yes. Okay, so this is our third lesson on probability trees, and this one does step up to a higher degree of difficulty, so you're going to have to bear with me on this. So let's just go back to the same example that we've done for the first opening two lessons. So we've got a bit of a lag. There we go. So Thomas plays 2 games of chess. The probability wins a complete a probability tree. So we did that 2 lessons ago. And then last lesson, we were working out the chances that Thomas wins both games or loses both games. Now, today, we're going to need to be able to answer the question, what is the probability Thomas wins just one game? So let's just go and redo the tree diagram. Right, so wins, loses, wins, loses, wins, loses, 2/3, a third, 2/3, a third, 2/3, a third. So there's a bit of a lag, a few seconds, so let's just wait for all of those to pop through. Right, lovely. Now, so last lesson we worked out win-win. So I'm just putting the WW, and we worked out the lose-lose, where I'm putting the L and the L. They'll just come through in a second. So basically, last lesson, we were working out the top 2 branches, where we go up the W and up the W, and the bottom 2 branches, where we go down the L and go down the L. Now, today, we're trying to answer the question, what is the probability Thomas wins one game? Now, it doesn't matter this one game, whether it comes about because he wins and then loses, all right, or whether it comes about because he loses, then he wins. Both of those options there mean that he wins one game. So step 1, we go and work out the probability, just going along those lines. So going along the orange path, okay, going along the orange path, we've said the chances of him winning the first game is 2/3, and then losing the second one is a third. So 2/3 and a third. Okay, that is what's happened to win and then lose, right? Just circling the 2/3 and the third. That's winning and then losing. So the probability of him winning and then losing is 2/3 times a third. Remember, we do top times top, bottom times bottom. However, there is another way that he can win and lose. All right, he could lose the first game and then win the second. That is also a probability that he wins just one game. So we also need to consider the green route. So that's a third. That is a third times 2/3, which is also 2/9. Now think about what I said about the language last time. That times sign in the middle is because he wins and then he loses. Alternatively, loses and then he wins. So both of those times signs are because we're saying and. However, to answer today's question, we need to win one game. Now, I don't care whether he wins and loses or he loses then wins. Now, when it's an or situation, you add the probabilities because the likelihood of it happening is greater. So to answer this question that he wins one game, we've got to add these 2 probabilities together. So we've got to do 2/9 add 2/9, which is 4/9. So our final answer would be 4/9. So the key points for you to take on board, you start off by multiplying as you go down the various routes on the probability tree. That win-lose is because you win and then you lose. That's the one in orange. That lose-win in green, that is when you've lost and then you've won. Okay, so you've multiplied those to get the 2/9 and the 2/9. But back to answering today's question, what is the probability Thomas wins one game? Well, he wins one game either of those 2 routes. Now, we don't care whether he wins then loses, or he loses then he wins. That's why we've taken those 2 ninths and those 2 ninths and we've added them together to get 4 ninths. They have been added together to get 4 ninths. Okay, so multiplying within the tree, get the various probabilities over on the right hand side, and then to gather them all together, when it's an or, you've got to add those together. So I'm hoping today's questions have already dropped on Dr. Frost. If somebody could wave just to confirm that you can see them, please. I will now stop the recording. Thank you, Jas, for confirming that. I will now stop the recording and I want you to start working on those questions, please.